Hello everyone, I'm Akanksha Mishra and you are watching TNB Academy, your trusted platform for industrial standards and sustainable practices. In today's comprehensive session, we are diving deep into one of the most essential topics for recycled paper quality, establishing pass-fail criteria using ISO 10370. Whether you are a pulp and paper manufacturer, a recycling plant quality manager, or a sustainability advocate, this episode will help you understand how to transform raw measurement data from ISO 10370 into meaningful quality decisions. We will walk you through the science of ERIC values, the challenges in defining quality threshold, and a step-by-step method to build reliable, traceable, and cost-effective pass-fail criteria. So grab your notepad and let's begin this in-depth exploration that connects de-inking technology, ink residue analysis, and practical quality control. Introduction to ISO 10370 and pass-fail criteria. ISO 10370 is a technical standard that outlines the method for determining residual ink content, that is RIC, in recycled paper pulp. This parameter is crucial in evaluating the efficiency of the de-inking process and the overall cleanliness of the pulp. However, while ISO 10370 provides a precise way to measure the effective residual ink concentration, that is ERIC, it does not define a specific pass-fail threshold. This means each organization must develop its own criteria based on product quality, requirements, customer expectations, and internal process capabilities. Establishing these criteria is key to consistent quality control, product grading, and market competitiveness. Understanding the importance of pass-fail criteria. In any manufacturing system, especially one involving recycled inputs, variability is unavoidable. Pass-fail criteria help bring objectivity to quality decisions. Instead of relying on visual inspection or subjective judgment, organizations can apply numerical threshold to accept or reject pulp batches. For example, a company producing high lower residual ink content than one producing cardboard or newsprint. Defining these thresholds clearly ensures that only suitable material moves forward in production, reducing rework, waste, and customer complaints. ERIC values and the role of ISO 10370. The ERIC value, calculated using ISO 10370, is a measure of the ink particles remaining in the pulp after de-inking. It is determined by measuring the reflectance at a wavelength of 950 nm, where ink particles absorb light while fibers do not. This makes ERIC a reliable indicator of residual ink, while ISO 10370 standardizes how ERIC is measured. It is silent on what value is considered good or bad. Therefore, organizations must interpret ERIC values in the context of their own quality requirements and use them to define thresholds for batch acceptance. Step 1. Gathering baseline ERIC data. The first step in defining pass-fail criteria is collecting data. Organizations should regularly test pulp samples using the ISO 10370 method under controlled conditions. Over time, this builds a database of ERIC values corresponding to different input materials, processing conditions, and product types. Analyzing this data helps establish the typical range of variation. For instance, you may find that most acceptable batches fall between 20 to 35 ppm. This range then becomes the foundation for defining statistical control limits and acceptable threshold. Step 2. Aligning ERIC limits with product requirements. Different paper grades require different levels of cleanliness. High brightness printing papers may not tolerate even minor ink residues, while packaging boards can absorb more imperfections. When setting pass-fail criteria, it is important to map the ERIC values to specific product types and end-use applications. This can involve laboratory tests, market research, and customer feedback. A company might decide that for grade A paper, ERIC must be below 25 ppm, while for grade B, anything under 40 ppm is acceptable. This product-linked approach ensures that performance is tailored to customer expectations. Step 3. correlating ERIC with visual and functional quality. ERIC values must be validated against real-world observations. Visual inspection, painting performance, and customer complaints should all be tracked alongside ERIC results. If a pattern emerges, such as complaints increasing when ERC exceeds 38 ppm, then that value becomes a logical candidate for a pass-fail threshold. This correlation allows the organization to make informed decisions rather than relying solely on theoretical targets. Step 4. Using statistical process control. Once sufficient data is collected, statistical tools can help refine the thresholds. Control charts, histograms, and normal distribution analysis can identify process capability and variation. A common strategy is to set the pass limit at the mean ERIC value plus 2 standard deviations, ensuring most acceptable batches pass while outliers are flagged. This approach balances risk and efficiency while maintaining product consistency. Step 5. Creating tiered pass-fail categories. Not all failures are equal. Instead of a binary pass-fail system, many organizations opt for multi-tiered grading. Step 6. Documentation and quality system integration. Any established pass-fail criteria should be clearly documented in your quality management system. This includes a standard operating procedures, that is SOPs, inspection checklist, and training manuals. These documents should explain how ERIC is measured using ISO 10370, what the acceptable limits are, and the actions to take if those limits are exceeded. This formalization not only standardizes internal processes but also ensures compliance during audits or certifications. Step 7. Leveraging technology for compliance. Modern ERIC analyzers can be connected to digital quality systems for real-time monitoring. Automated data logging and threshold alerts ensure consistent adherence to standards. If a batch exceeds the predefined ERIC limit, the system can flag it for reprocessing or investigation. This integration of technology with ISO 10370 data enhances quality control efficiency and accountability. Step 8. Training and awareness. Even with advanced systems, human expertise remains vital. Quality control personnel and production operators must be trained to perform ISO 10370 tests accurately, interpret ERIC values correctly, and understand their implications for product quality. Regular workshops, calibration exercises, and internal audits help maintain consistency and build a quality-oriented culture. Step 9. Supplier and procurement implications. If your facility sources de-inked pulp from external suppliers, pass-fail criteria based on ISO 10370 should be part of your procurement contracts. This ensures that incoming material meets your quality benchmarks, reducing the risk of contamination in your production lines. Vendor audits and sample testing are also effective ways to enforce these standards. Step 10. Balancing quality with cost efficiency. While lower ERIC values indicate better quality, achieving ultra-clean pulp can be costly due to additional chemicals, energy, and processing time. Organizations must find a balance between optimal quality and operational cost. Pass-fail threshold should reflect this balance, tight enough to meet customer needs but flexible enough to maintain profitability. Periodic review of these limits based on evolving technology and customer expectations is also recommended. Making ISO 10370 actionable. ISO 10370 is a powerful tool, but its real value lies in how it is applied. By using it as a foundation to create pass-fail criteria tailored to your product types, customer needs, and operational goals, you can transform it from a testing method into a strategic quality control instrument. Objective criteria improve decision-making, reduce disputes, and support continuous improvement in the recycling process. As sustainability, efficiency, and customer satisfaction become more critical, having a data-driven approach to residual ink control will give your organization a strong competitive edge.